Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Sip and Smoke podcast with myself and Billy. How are you doing, Billy?
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
I'm very excited today.
You and me both. We've got a very, very special guest today, haven't we?
We really have. He's made quite the journey.
Yeah, a little bit longer than our usual guests' journey. Usually they stay in the UK, but
this one's a little bit further out there, overseas, let's say.
Yeah.
I would love to say that you came here just for this, but
you can. Nobody would know.
Well, exclusive. He just flew here just for the podcast, so that's amazing. But yeah, today we've got Jarrid from Kristoff Cigars. Jarrid, thank you so much for joining us. Absolute pleasure to have you.
You're
it's
very
a real
welcome.
honour to be with one of the experts in the field. But how are you doing? How was the journey?
I'm good, man. I'm good. This is my second week. Yeah, in the UK. Last week we had tons of events and stuff. Of course, I just came for the podcast. We had tons of events and stuff last week, and I got to see you guys at the Lord's Cricket Grounds. That was cool for the tobacco luncheon. But then had a nice weekend in London, and now we're starting our tour of a little bit more north. So looking forward to it.
You're getting to see the whole country. How is it for you so far? Enjoying it? I mean, I assume you've been to the UK a few times.
I have. I am enjoying it. And this time I was able to fly my wife out. She got in Saturday morning. Mm-hmm. So the second half, she's going to be with me for. The first half in central London, that was just work. It was a lot of stuff.
It's manic in London as well. So.
Yeah. So, but now we'll be able to spend some time by the sea. We'll be able to spend some time in York. We'll be able to. She wants to see a castle and stuff, so we'll do all that. And
You'll definitely see those.
Are you going up to Scotland at any point?
No. I've got to leave. I got to leave before that.
Oh, okay.
I would love to do that.
Tell you what, York's a very, very nice place.
Oh,
it's
100%.
Little, quite quaint villages and things like that, but very sort of old-fashioned. So that'll definitely be a few sights to see up there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Make sure you have some Yorkshire tea as well.
Oh.
Do you like tea?
I know nothing about tea. About tea.
Have a Yorkshire tea from Yorkshire. You'll be blown away.
Really?
Yeah, you'll be blown away.
She loves tea, so
yeah, that's perfect.
I reckon she'll probably acquire some while we're there.
Oh, please do. Yeah, I mean, me and Billy. To be fair, we weren't big tea drinkers, really.
I am now. I'm way more of a tea drinker than I was, but I also drink obviously coffees and things like that on the side.
Yeah.
But yeah,
we went away, didn't we, to York, to a distillery, to Filey Bay, and they made us some Yorkshire tea, like a proper tea, like from a teapot and everything.
Yeah.
Which is a really English thing, I guess.
Yeah. We're going to a very famous tea room, I suppose, on Betty's Tea Room.
Oh, really?
Which apparently is like very nice.
Right.
Like she had to pack clothes to be able to go and stuff like that. So we're doing that, I think, in Harrogate on Thursday or Friday, I think. So,
something different. I suppose you can dabble in the world of tea.
I grew up in Boston. I live in Dallas, Texas now. We do not have a great deal of tea rooms. No. So I think it'll be an experience for me. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we turned into like a tea connoisseur after that.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, I've never seen someone rave about Yorkshire tea as much as Lewis did that day. He was like, "This is the best tea I've ever had," and it was like, "It's just tea." But no, in all fairness, it was good. It was very good in their little cafe. It was nice.
It really was, yeah. Anyway, what are we sampling today? So we'll talk about the whiskey or the spirits that we're sampling today.
Yeah, a little bit of a mixture.
Yeah, we have. So Jarrid, I believe you've got the Stalladu Speyside, nice light Speyside from Scotland. Wonderful.
Should go very well with that the Connecticut cigar as well.
Connecticut's quite light.
Sweetness.
The Speyside's quite sweet, so go hand in hand. Mm-hmm. I've got the C.Gars cigar malt. And what have you got?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of asked for your recommendation based on these cigars. I mean, by all means, they're your cigars, your creations. So you suggested a rum with this one. So I have gone for the most staple rum in any rum lover's cabinet, the Diplomatico Reserva Exclusiva, which, I mean, I'm no stranger to this bottle. Very, 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 very good liquid. Yeah. Really enjoyable. I assume you guys have had it many times as well, and the people at home. But a very, very good Venezuelan rum, I believe. But yeah, phenomenal, nice and sweet, rich. So that should pair with this cigar very nice.
Just one of those rums that you recognise everywhere you go. You go to like a bar or a shop, you know, wherever you go, you just recognise it. It just stands out. Even though it's such a dark colour, you just know that it's Diplomatico.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah, that caramely kind of of nice. Yeah.
It's beautiful.
I
Really
mean,
is.
and it definitely helps that the liquid inside is also just as nice.
Yeah, it's really good.
But yeah, looking forward to that. But I suppose we can get on to sort of the cigar side of it.
Sure.
Jarrid, we'll come to you first. What cigar is it that you are sampling today?
I'm smoking, and I was so happy to see it in the humidor down there because I don't have any of my own cigars for some reason since I've been out here. Short of doing the events where I get the one for pairing, I'm used to smoking, 3 to 5 cigars a day at home or when I'm traveling. So it's nice when I saw the Connecticut. So this is an Ecuadorian Connecticut wrapper. And then it actually, something that's a little bit different about our Connecticut is it does have a Nicaraguan binder. So it has a little bit more going on than a traditional Connecticut. It's got a little bit of spice, a little bit of that sort of baking spice kind of note to it.
Yeah.
It's really, really nice. And this is a staple for me. We were talking about earlier, like this.
Yeah.
This is a staple for me. This is what I wake up, I make an espresso, I go sit in my cigar lounge at home, and then I light this up every morning pretty much. Yeah.
Can't go wrong with it. You really can't.
No.
I mean, I sampled that one on the podcast with Chris a few months back. Phenomenal blend, really phenomenal blend. I personally enjoy the smaller format cigars, so that was quite a big cigar. I mean, as is this, but I was blown away, and I think I got through like 80% of it at least. Maybe it was phenomenal.
It doesn't sound that thingy, but a lot of the time when you get a larger format cigar, you don't tend to go all the way through it because, as you say, you like say a Corona or a Robusto size. So for him to turn around and say, "Oh, I got through the majority of that cigar," obviously speaks quite a high amount about that cigar. So
yeah, I'm a Robusto guy most of the time. That's pretty much what I go for most of the time. But our Robustos are bigger. They're 5.5 by 54. So it's not really a Robusto. It's also not a Toro. It's kind of like not anything. It's like a weird size.
So
and
it's
then
like a Grand Robusto type.
Kind of,
size, Robusto extra type thing. Or, I mean, there's 1,000,001 different classifications nowadays for cigar sizes in there. So
and I have no idea why. I don't know why. I mean, for 21 years, that's been the size of our Robusto. I have no idea why.
It's just changed all of them.
Just liked it.
I suppose it's different.
Just
I mean,
liked
it stands out.
Yeah.
I mean, you get more for your money, don't you? So that's the most important thing. Then I have the Kristoff San Andres 660. Could you talk to us a little bit about this blend?
Yeah, so that's a Mexican San Andres Maduro wrapper. That's kind of been, San Andres has been kind of on vogue for the last 5 years, 6 years or so. It's a relatively inexpensive wrapper. And it takes processing really well. It ferments really well into a Maduro. And being inexpensive, the cigar business side, the business side of the cigar business, it's quite a long horizon from when you get raw material in to when you actually have something you can sell. It can be anywhere from 8 to 18 months. And then if you age stuff really, really long, it can be crazier and crazier, right? So San Andres takes processing really well. It's sweet, it's rich, it's earthy. It's kind of got like a kind of muddy, earthy kind of profile to it. But it's a really, really high quality wrapper. It holds up really well in storage. It's good. And then that has a Habano wrapper or a Habano binder. And then there's 3 different Nicaraguan fillers. So there's Jalapa, Esteli, and Condega filler from Nicaragua in there. So it is I think it's a nuance. It's an interesting blend. That San Andres wrapper is difficult to blend around because it is kind of heavy handed. So getting the fillers right, getting everything right is kind of a dance. But that we've seen a great deal of success. I think it's 93 plus rated. I mean, it's a really, really well received cigar. It's doing really well.
That is really,
I suppose as well with the Nicaraguan, that tends to bring a boldness to a cigar blend, doesn't it? So I suppose using the 3 different types of Nicaraguan tobacco to kind of weigh up against the San Andres wrapper probably does that exact thing, balance.
Balance.
Yeah, for sure.
What you go for, yeah,
beautiful. It looks beautiful as well. I mean, I just love the gold on it as well
against that really dark wrapper. It just pops. I think
really does.
But again, this is like classic. The cigar business is not like an exact thing, right? So the band, it's gold writing on gold background. It's you can't read it. So but the problem is when you make bands, you make 250,000 bands at a time, and when you look at the graphic design mock-up of it. Well, the contrast is really dramatic because they use certain, it's not actually the colors. It's like a green this texture, and then it's a different color for the writing and stuff. So it looks like it'll be contrasted really well. And then you go and do a press okay in person, and you're like, oh my God, you can't fucking read it. But I have 250,000 of these, so this is what we're doing. Yeah. So anyways.
That is good though. That's quite refreshing to hear that, as you say, it's not a polished article, right? You kind of run with it. It's done at that point. It's not as I say, you don't shine it too much. You don't try and make it too perfect. It's a case of, okay, well, that's what we're running with. That's what we're going with.
And like that we already have reprinted them, right? So like there already is the next iteration. You'll see will look different. And then just this year at the PCA trade show in the US, we rebranded the entire line. So for the first time in 20 years, we really took a pass at everything. Okay. So you'll see different over the next coming months. You'll see with replenishment orders and stuff, you'll see new packaging, kind of new boxes, new all of it. So it's all going to look a little bit different. Okay, but we still have tried to maintain that thread, because you don't want to give up 20 years of brand recognition by doing a rebranding project that makes your cigar less successful, right? So we have to keep that original voice kind of and keep people recognizing us. But yeah, that's a lot of work. Yeah. To rebrand,
Isn't it very expensive as well?
Oh, yeah.
I won't ask how much, but I've heard that it's very expensive to.
Well, I suppose you're completely changing the makeup of everything, right? I guess you've got to look at absolutely everything, from packaging for cellophane, like supplies, wood types, everything is just kind of up for grabs at that point, I guess.
And the design work is really involved with tons of different approvals. So we were doing, maybe 3-4 at a time. Getting them approved, making small changes. And because I'm not like a design person, and Glenn, fortunately, the owner of Kristoff, he is a design oriented kind of person. I'm not. So like they would send us proofs and be like, what do you think? And I'd be like, I don't like it. And they're like, what would you have us change? I'm like, I don't know.
Just doesn't stand right.
I just don't like it. Like just do it different.
Yeah. So
how different? Or small? I don't know.
That's for you to figure out.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Just not this.
But yeah, we'll go on to the cigar that I'm sampling. So this is the Kristoff. Now, is it Viente or Vient?
It's Vente.
Vente. Sorry, yeah, my pronunciation, I didn't want to get it wrong. Yeah. Kristoff Vente. So this is made for the 20th anniversary of Kristoff Cigars.
That's right.
And quite an interesting blend. Well, I know we mentioned it briefly off camera, but do you want to just quickly go into the blend that makes up this cigar?
Yeah, so it's an Arapiraca Brazilian Maduro. So a lot of the Brazilian Maduro that you encounter is from a region called Mata Fina. Mata Fina, I think it has it's a great tobacco. It takes processing really well as well, but it's very I think it's got kind of like a muddy, like a earthier profile to it. Arapiraca is, I think, really sweet, really rich, really dynamic. I think it's really a nice wrapper to work with. And it's hardy and it holds up well. It's very good. And then there's the binder's Indonesian, which is interesting. High nicotine tobacco, pretty toothy. And it contributes a really interesting kind of flavor profile to it. It contributes some real natural strength to it. And then there's even Pennsylvania in the filler, Pennsylvania from the US tobacco in the filler, which is, again, spicy and rich and interesting. So that blend, when we started working on it, it's funny. It's kind of a good story. So like the guy who made every Kristoff cigar for like 21 years, his name was Rolando Villamil. He was like third generation something cigar maker. He was also an absolute legend. I mean, this tall, like 70-year-old Dominican guy. Smoked 3 packs of cigarettes a day, drank like a monster. I mean, he was just a legend, right? Like a dear friend of mine and a mentor. And the same for Glenn, the owner of Kristoff. They all cooked up everything together and stuff like that when we were getting started, and just really important to the business. And then during COVID, he got sick, and being a 70-something-year-old, 3-pack a day smoker for that long, he didn't do well, and he ended up passing away during COVID. And so afterwards, the guy that he had been mentoring, his name is Renzo, Renzo Marte, and he's a wonderful guy, super sweet. And he had learned from Orlando for maybe 8 years on procurement, sourcing tobacco, and managing the factory and stuff. So when Renzo took over, we all took a trip down to the Dominican Republic And fortunately for us, so Rolando's sister, Rosa, she has been with him from every job he's ever had. Right. She was the CFO of our factory while Rolando was there, because Rolando is a tobacco man. The other stuff, not interested in. He just wants to,
just
do the tobacco stuff.
Yeah.
Rosa was the brains of the operation. She knew how to do everything. She's really, really smart, wonderful person, great family. And so she ended up taking over Rolando's job and putting Renzo in a job where he's managing just the tobacco side of the factory. So Renzo, when we went down there, it was weird because we were in Rolando's office and they had changed it from his old office, which we had all had tons of very, very good times in over the years, over the decades, to like kind of a conference table. So we're sitting there with Renzo and, Glenn and Ward, who's our COO, who's a brilliant guy, and I were down there and we're talking to Renzo in English about how to, kind of what we're looking for the 20th anniversary project. And it almost was like he wasn't listening to us. Like he was just doing kind of whatever he wanted. Right. And then finally, Rosa said to me, she goes, Jarrid, you speak Spanish. Just speak to him in Spanish and see if that helps. And so I was like, fine. So then I start talking and his eyes opened up and he was like, all in. He comes back in 5 minutes and he's like, guys, this is a blend that I've been working on myself that I love, that I think Rolando would love. And he gives it to us. And we're like, holy shit.
This is it.
I was like, Renzo, in Spanish. I'm like, Renzo, where's this been this whole time? What have you been doing? And he's like, I just didn't know what you wanted me to do. So I was just bringing you stuff. And he's like, but this is very special. And so we figured for our 20th anniversary, it would be a great kind of love letter to like Rolando and his legacy. And then Renzo knocked it out of the park with it. We made some small changes. We worked on it with him, but he pretty much nailed it, man. And so this is the Vente, we thought it would be fitting, is the first real project we put out that didn't have Rolando's hand on it. This was Renzo really did a good job with this project. So,
wow.
We love it. And that was to celebrate our 20th anniversary in business. Yeah.
I was going to say, it seems it's a very touching sort of story to hear, obviously, the passing of. So far so good. I'm really, really enjoying it. Obviously, I've got a ways to go. But so far, as you say, that boldness is coming out. It's,
quite a complex blend by the sounds of it.
Right,
quite intense. And
for the use of sort of Pennsylvanian, Indonesian, Brazilian, all in one blend as well. I mean, it's an intriguing prospect. But
he had it as Blend F, is what he called it.
Really?
Which was Frankenstein.
Right, okay.
Because of all the different pieces that, he kind of was trying to cook up with it.
That.
Yeah.
But that is a very cool story. It makes you appreciate the blend even a little bit more. You know what I mean? Whilst I'm sat here enjoying it, I now know the backstory to it. So, really, really, really cool place. Really cool cigar.
Yeah.
As I say, visually as well. I mean, as I said to you off camera, Maduro dark wrappers always seem to stand out to me.
Yeah.
But like the contrast with the bright silver and things like that, it's just...
I think it looks badass. I think it's like a really, really cool...
Yeah.
It looks like it's like, industrial strength kind of like varies. Yeah. I thought it was cool.
I think it's definitely you.
Sure.
He literally just wears black every day.
Every
single day is black.
I stick to the common thing. It's a really cool prospect.
But talking about the heritage, take us back to you. How did you get into the industry? And for those who don't know you, what do you do exactly?
So I'm the executive vice president of Kristoff. I manage our sales infrastructure across the world. So I work directly for Glenn, the owner, and I just manage his the sales part of the business. My counterpart is Ward Hall. He lives in Chicago. He's a family man. It doesn't really travel as much or anything like that. But he is the brains of the operations, getting the cigars to you in other countries. And we do business in 70 something plus countries. So he does all of that, all the reporting. He keeps the wheels on the bus. I get to dick around and get drunk with my friends. I mean, I really, it's different. It's a different,
I feel sorry.
But I couldn't do anything without him being successful. And then obviously Glenn, the owner, he does, a lot of the conceptual stuff, the design work, new product development. He's like the tobacco guy, really. Right. He does all that stuff. He's the one who worked hand in hand with Rolando to get the company off the ground and started and everything. So, yeah. But now, that's kind of the division of labor. So what I do is I manage the sales infrastructure worldwide.
Do the traveling, get to see the sites.
That's right.
All
That's
that
right.
stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I can imagine it's a highly, highly stressful situation at some points, highly stressful job, but I guess there's a lot of pros and cons to it, right?
There are. And you talk to people and it's like, oh, you travel. I travel less now, but still quite a lot. But in the beginning, it was, I don't know, 200 days a year on the road.
Wow.
For years. That's what it was.
Is that solely in the US as well?
No, wherever. Yeah, mostly in the US in the beginning, especially when we're getting off the ground. But I met Glenn at a cigar event,
right?
When he was selling stuff on his own. He didn't have any real employees or anything, and my dad, who I had gotten into cigars. He would smoke cigars on the golf course every now and then or something,
right.
But. He invited me. He said, the humidor in Rhode Island and where we had lived. He was like, they're having an event with this Kristoff company, and he's like, do you want to go? And I was like, yeah. He's like, it's a cigar dinner, and so at that time it would be like $35 would get you, a couple cigars at the door. They would have a buffet of like Italian food or something like that, and then they would the price of your ticket, so that $35 would come off the price of a box. If you wanted to buy a box.
Okay. That's clever.
So it was a good idea. And so I was like, sure, I'll go. And it just so happened I was in school at the time. So I would go, I was in university at the time. So I would go and study at this place like pretty much every day. I'd go and I'd get a cigar and I would sit there and I would study. I'd be on my laptop or I'd do whatever. And so I ended up going there the day before the event. And they had an article in a magazine about Kristoff out. Advertising the event. And so I open a magazine as I'm sitting there and I read about Kristoff, learn where it started, learn all these facts about the company and stuff like that. So I show up to the event the next day. There's 120 guys there. And so Glenn gets up and he starts doing cigar trivia. And he's like, where do we get our name? Where did we first start? What year did we start? What are the cigars named after? And I'm like,
I know this.
I studied, I read all this before. Unsurprisingly, in the cigar business, nobody else read the magazine. So I'm the only one in this whole room that knew anything. And for every question you got right, he gave you a cigar. Okay. So I'm sitting here, I'm like, this is starting to be creepy because he's asking, I want the free cigars because I'm a broke kid, Yeah. But it's kind of weird because I know every answer. So I raise my hand. He gives me like 9 cigars. And finally, he's like, what do you do for work? And I'm like, well, I'm in school, but I work for a company called Target, which a U.S. retailer. Target's big. But I was in an executive program. I was in a signed off executive for Target. It was like a real job. It wasn't like a bullshit job. And but you say it's like saying I work at Tesco, right? It's like you think, oh my God, this is like Goodwill Hunting, right? Like this guy is a cigar savant, and he's bagging groceries or something at Target,
right?
And he's like, would you ever want a job in the cigar business? And I'm like, yeah, sure. Like, why not? And he's like, make a resume. Like, I already don't have a resume because he doesn't know anything. He just thinks I work at a grocery store. Yeah. And I sent him my resume and he goes, I cannot afford to hire you. And I'm like, no, you cannot. And he's like, maybe in a couple of years. And I'm like, sure. So we exchanged. I wrote my name and phone number on the back of his business card. And because I didn't have any business cards on me. And so he takes it back to Chicago. And one day he would call me every couple of months and be like, hey, man, just checking in. I just got into this state or I just got into here and we're doing this good and blah, blah, blah. And one day he called me because I think I can afford to hire you. And I'm like, to do what? And he's like, I don't know.
Figure it out.
Wow. We'll figure it out. And so I quit my executive job for Target. And I was like, I'm going to go sell cigars. And they were like, what are you doing? Like, do you have any experience? Is it more money? I'm like, no, it's way less money. And like way less than half of what I was making there.
Right.
And they're like, do you know anything about sales? I'm like, no. And they're like, I'm like, I like cigars and I'm young and I'm going to figure it out.
Yeah.
And I think I was probably, I don't know, 21 or something. Wow. And now I'm old. But it was like, he flew me to Chicago. I stayed at his house. We went to the office And taped to his computer monitor from like 2 or 3 years earlier was my name and phone number written in my handwriting. And he taped it to his computer monitor in his office.
That's not something you see in a movie.
I was about to say, every time you ask somebody how they get into what they're getting into and what job they're in, it's never that organic. It never seems to be, I know people say right place, right time type thing, but as you say, you went the extra mile to read something. That then led on to knowing more than anybody else in the room, made a lasting impression, and then he's managed to come back.
Wow.
That's incredible.
And it was, I left out a different part, which was, so at the end, after I fleeced him for like half a box of cigars, right? He was walking around thanking everybody for coming to the event. And so he was going table by table. So he comes up to the table that my father and I are sitting at, and he's smoking this box press cigar, which I knew from reading the article because it had a picture of all the cigars. They had never made a box press cigar before.
Right.
And so he takes the label. It just so happened that it burned up to the label when he was at my table. He takes the label off, throws it in my ashtray, walks away. He gets up a couple minutes later and he's like, I'll give anyone 5 cigars if they know the answer to this next question. What's the name of my new line? I'm like, well, fuck, the label's in my ashtray. I'm like, so I pick it up. I read it. It says Galerones Intensivo. I light it on fire because I am a hoodlum at heart, right? So I light the label on fire, destroy the evidence, and then I go, oh, that's the Galerones series. And he goes, brother, how did you know that?
That's incredible.
He's like, that's how I was going to announce it, knowing nobody in the room would know it. And I'm like, oh, I'm just real sensitive to the industry. I just try to keep my ears on. And he's total full shit. And he's like, oh my God, I've got to hire you. And so it was pretty much lying that got me into the cigar business, pretty much, but it all worked out.
When did you tell him?
I don't know. Probably just now. Yeah. He just told probably just now. I don't know that I've ever talked to him about that.
That's crazy.
That's incredible. And a very unique way to break into the industry.
Yeah.
Very, very weird.
And it was also a weird way because it was like he had had brokers who sold like 4 or 5 different lines, but he had never had an in-house sales rep that worked for him before. So I just thought, okay, well, if you want me to do sales stuff, then I've got to figure out what the job actually is. So the best way to do that would be to start doing it myself before we scale or do anything. So I happen to live in like the Boston area. So I was like, I'll take over Maine to New Jersey because that's what I can drive to. Right. See if it works. And if it works, I'll hire and train people as we make enough money to be able to afford it. So that's how I started. I just had Excel spreadsheets, a Garmin GPS in the window, and I would just drive to stores that we had already written orders to and try to sell them cigars.
That's incredible.
And then I sold enough to be able to afford to hire a second guy. And it took 2 of us half as long to hire the third guy, and then et cetera, until now we had 8 guys in the US, 9 guys in the US. And then we were like, how hard can international be? And then now we're in 70 countries and sell millions of cigars. It's a different world. Yeah.
Really fantastic.
Yeah. It must be like so rewarding to like, even just sitting here. I mean, even like if I had to go through what I'd done and whatnot, and that was my story, I'd feel so rewarded. And every time I spoke about it, I'd be like, wow, how have I managed to, how has that even happened? As you say, you've gone in as, say, 20, 21-year-old young lad, and all of a sudden, say, 10, 15 years later, however long it may be, and it's now, okay, cool, we're an international brand, successful.
It's nuts.
And you're part of the whole thing.
It's nuts to think about.
It really is. But going back to when you left Target, though, how did that feel for you? Because I imagine that's such a big decision to make, and then you must have had people like left and right telling you this is a bad idea.
Everyone.
How did you react to that, and how did you get on with that?
It was, and we all do the same stuff, right? Like everybody's lives are way more similar than we'd like to admit. So like I was broke. I mean, we didn't have any money. My original thing was I was going to be a lawyer,
right? And
so the plan was go to law school, do all this stuff, and become an attorney. And my parents who are smart people, but they had 3 kids.
Right.
My brothers were born the day before my first birthday, and they're twins. So young family, blue collar, working class.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden coming out of high school, they got to have 3 kids in pretty much 23 months. It's like, life gets real fast. So while they could have gone to college and done more, they never had a chance to. They had to work. My mom had to stay home with the kids because they couldn't afford daycare. So I didn't grow up in like a privileged kind of thing. And I always knew if I wanted to get educated, if I want to go to college, I'd have to pay for it myself. And so my plan was to go to law school and become an attorney. And I did very well in school. I did very well in college. And the plan was to go to law school. But I had a professor in college because I had to work full time through college because I lived on my own. Mm-hmm. I worked full time. I took all my classes Tuesday and Thursday. I had classes from 8 a.m. until 9:30 p.m. on Tuesday and Thursday. So I could work the other 5 days a week without having to skip classes or anything. And I did that for 4 years. I mean, it was nuts. So I was just working really hard. And then I had a professor that knew I worked full time. And I had a kind of a cool job then. I started working in a fitness center, like a Anytime Fitness, the 24-hour gyms.
Yeah.
I started working for these franchisees that had one gym. And I just wanted a membership, but it was $42.99 a month. I couldn't afford it. So I said, can I just like clean equipment and like watch the gym when you guys need a break or something like that? And they were like, yeah, sure. And they were well off guys. They came from the mortgage business and then the housing crisis and all that shit. So they lost all their money. And so they opened one gym. Then their manager of that gym who sold the memberships, he went away on vacation and they needed somebody to cover the gym for that week. And I'm like, well, I can do it. Barring Tuesday, Thursday when I have my classes, I can cover and just sell memberships. Just show me how to do it. And they were like, okay, they showed me. So I did it, covered the gym, and they had like a record sales week when I was there. I had no fucking clue what I was doing, but I just winged it. And I knew I was supposed to sell memberships, so I tried to sell memberships. And then they were like, would you want to do this more often for us? And I was like, yeah, sure. As long as I don't have to pay for my membership and get me some protein and stuff, and I'll do it. So I started doing it. Then they wanted to open a second location. And they said, here's our plan. We're going to put a 3D rendered picture of what the gym is going to look like someday behind you. And we're going to sit you in a tent in the parking lot in front of the place where we're building the gym. And you just have to sell as many memberships as you can based on the picture of what the gym might look like someday. And I was like, okay, that sounds like it sucks. Right. I'm like, but I will try. Mm-hmm. And we opened with like 600 members. We opened this gym. It was nuts. I sat in a parking lot for 3 months, rain or shine, next to a grocery store, trying to sell memberships. And so they were like, okay, I think we're onto something here. I ended up opening like 14 gyms for these guys. Wow. And that's while I was in college. Mm-hmm. So they wanted me to stay and work for them, but they wanted me to drop out of college to do it because they said, we still don't have you full time. I'm like, guys, I'm working 60 hours a week plus going to school, 12 hours a day, or more. I'm like, you have me full time. Yeah,
there's not much more you can do.
And I kind of thought like, if you really cared about me, my background, I would never be able to afford this school if I didn't have a scholarship. If you really cared about me, you wouldn't tell me to drop out of school because then you own me, right? Like I have no other options. The only way I'm ever going to, and it was good money and all that stuff. So some of my business professors, they knew like that I was basically working with these entrepreneurs, building this business together with them. I was the director of sales for this franchise and I was 19. And so they were like, they used to use, so one of them who was the dean of the Department of Business, he came to me and he said, hey, I've got a fraternity brother that I want you to meet. And he was the VP of Human Resources for Target. And I'm like, I have 10 minutes to talk to this guy. And he was like, just bring a copy of your resume, shut up, and come to the library at this time. So I come in, I'm in sweatpants and a hoodie that say Anytime Fitness on them. And I handed him my resume and I'm like, oh, look, I don't know why you need this resume. I'm like, I work in gyms. I'm super busy. I only have 10 minutes to talk to you. I'm like, so if you have questions, ask him. Mm-hmm. He was like, I like this guy, I like this, And so he offered me this executive in training job where they were trying to build out this, executive development program for Target with kids coming out of college. And I told him, I'm like, look, I can't do some stupid internship because I make X amount of money a year and I have my own life and I can't take a pay cut. And he goes, no, I'm not telling you that. We will accommodate you. You will make us full salary if you want to come and do it. And so my poor dad, went from being a blue collar guy, my kid's going to be a lawyer, to then my kid sells groceries, to then me finally getting like a really good 6-figure job as an executive for Target and being like, I'm going to quit and make 35 grand selling cigars. Mm-hmm. And my dad was like, well, what are you doing, kid? What are you doing? You had life by the balls and now now you threw it all away for nothing. Yeah. And so that was how it started. And now He's got his own sample account with the office. He doesn't even ask me for cigars. He calls our office manager, Vicky, and she sends him care packages of cigars for free. Now he's like the biggest fan of what I do for a living.
That's amazing.
But it was gut wrenching for him, you know, to be like, oh, you were doing so good. And then you just screwed it up 3 different times, you know.
But it seems like
wow.
At the base of all it is your mindset is so driven to succeed. You know, and a lot of people that you speak to don't necessarily have that. You know, you have a situation, they'll go, well, you can do this, but you have to pay this much. And it's like, oh, okay, I don't do it then. Whereas you've gone, okay, cool, well, I can't afford it, but I can do this and I can supply you with something to make up the, you know what I mean? The mindset changes everything. And as I say, it must have paid off in the long run because, I mean.
Well, and that's ironically that probably to my parents' great chagrin, like that mindset came from my dad. You know, like my dad is the one that like, always told me like his big quote, and I don't know if I'm even allowed to swear on this podcast, but I have you can bleep it maybe. But my dad always told me, he's like, you can teach sales, you can teach a job, you can teach a trade. He goes, you can't teach give a shit. Yeah. That's the one quality you can't teach is give a shit. And he had always ingrained that in me. And I knew if you point me at something, I'm a simple creature. I'm a gun. You point me at a very Texas analogy to make, you know, but you point me at something and pull the trigger and it'll die. Yeah. You know, like that's what I try to do. And so I knew that I could always go back and do the other stuff. Yeah. If it didn't work out, but I never would be able to look myself in the mirror if I didn't try it on my own, you know? So
you've just got that hunger.
Yeah.
Success. And
I think,
wow.
I think the way you just say it as well, you point the gun, you pull the trigger, and it's over, right? By saying that, you take all of the added extra stresses away, and you kind of make it down to the simplest form and say, okay, well, this is my goal. This is the only way I'm going to get there. That's exactly what I'm going to do. Whereas a lot of people, I think, will go, okay, that's my goal. That's what I've got to do, but I'm going to go round the houses to get to that point. Do you know what I mean?
Or it's somewhere in the ether.
Yeah.
It's like if you have a thing to do, put it right here and stare at it every day till it's done. You know what I mean? Don't say someday I'll be this guy or I'll be able to do this. Just put it right in front of you and let it bother you until it's not bothering you anymore. You know?
It's a great way to look at things. I think you could put that across any aspect of anything as well, couldn't you? Yeah. So I think that's a great sort of takeaway, especially from this conversation, I think. It's make it happen. And the only person that can make it happen is yourself as well, right? So, as you say.
And what do you really have to lose?
No, exactly.
What do you really have to lose? If you think about it, what do you really have to lose? And for me, I'm fortunate. I didn't have any kids. And my wife and I, we've been together for 8 or 9 years. We don't want kids. She's got a really, really rewarding job. She's like a superhero. Right now she's a registered nurse. She's pursuing her nurse practitioner, which is like a doctorate in the US, so that she can be a doctor, you know, and she's doing all of this stuff. And so it sucks because she'll leave the house at 6 a.m. and I'll be having an espresso and a cigar. And then she comes home at 3 p.m. after like helping people all day. And I'm sitting there in the same clothes, smoking a cigar. She's like, what'd you do? I'm like, oh, I used the gym. And then I, did some emails and and it's like, oh, come on. Like, but she has a really rewarding job. I travel a lot. So having kids really wouldn't be fair to her. Yeah. And so we just that's never been a thing. So we have made it so that in our lives, there's nothing that can stop us from whatever.
It's nice that you support each other like that.
Yeah.
It's really important. It really is.
Yeah. That's the other thing. You are who you surround yourself with, right?
For sure.
100%.
Yeah. You gotta be cognizant of that. So, it's cool. I've been really, really lucky, really lucky in life to be able to do this stuff. And
well, you're very careful about choosing the people that you're around then. So like with friends and whatnot, did you have many friends that supported you in the process?
Yeah, I mean, most of my friends kind of don't give a shit, like most of them, they're like, oh yeah, he does cigars. Like my best friend, Kyle, he went into the military when I went into college. Right. And so as soon as everybody finds out that, your buddy does cigars, it's like, all right, I was very popular with those guys, but he doesn't smoke. Most of my friends growing up, none of them really care, but they don't even understand what I do. They're like, they don't understand. They're like, it seems like you just fly around and get drunk with your friends.
We get the same thing.
I was going to say, you've got a few friends that enjoy cigars with you.
Yes, yeah.
Say on like weekends and things, but there's no one really, other than my mum's husband, who he works offshore, lives in Ireland, so I don't really see him all that often. other than that, I don't really have anyone that really understands sort of what I get from a cigar. And they're always asking the question, it's like, you're just smoking. It's like, yeah, but it's not quite just smoking. It's very different. And it's always, it's a fun conversation to try and have. But at the same time, it's quite refreshing because, especially for you, everything in terms of work is always cigar related. When you go and hang around with your friends, you kind of don't want to just talk about work at that point, right? You kind of want to have different things to talk about and things. So it's probably a blessing in disguise that they're not so interested in the professional side of things.
It is.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it is.
I suppose you can kick your feet up and kind of just relax a little bit.
Yeah. And everything that we get to interact with, every person we get to interact with in being in the cigar business, we're at the best part of their day. You know, that's such a cool qualifying thing, right? Like everybody I meet at an event is in a great mood because that's the best part of their day. They've been looking forward to it. But there's very few jobs where you almost exclusively interact with people when they're the happiest they're going to be that day. And cigars are one of those things.
That's a very good point, actually, because I remember I used to work at a theme park, Pleasurewood Hills, as you remember. And everyone around you is just so happy. And it really reflects on your mental health as well. And that's just really helpful. Really, it gives you the motivation to push forward and do more. So I've never spoken about this before, but about like 10 years ago or so, I wouldn't leave the house. Like I really struggled with that. And then I finally got a job with some friends doing some labouring, and then it kind of built my confidence a little bit more. Then I got the job at Pleasurewood Hills, which is the theme park. And then when I got that job, it kind of forced me to really push myself out there and smile and speak to people. And it just really helps you when you do that. So being around people with a good mindset is so important. It really is.
And it's hard. It's hard because a lot of people are miserable. You know, so it's really hard to put yourself in a position where you're not around people like that, dragging you down and getting, it's so easy to complain. It's so hard to do something about it. And if you just put yourself around people at the best part of their day, they're excited to talk to you. They're excited to hear about whatever you have going on. They're excited to work on it with you. I mean, it's just,
it's rewarding.
It is rewarding. It is rewarding.
For sure.
Yeah.
But I suppose we spoke about the kind of the evolution of Kristoff, where you began, how it kind of came around to become international, and obviously you had a big hand in that. They've kind of, I suppose, rewarded you in a certain way with a blend that is named specifically after you, right? The Kristoff JT signature. How did that come around? I mean, was that something that was always in the works, or was like sprung on you to say, okay, cool, we're going to make something after you? Like, how did it kind of happen?
No, it was a really funny classic, like cigar business kind of thing.
Right.
Rolando, when he was still alive, he flew from Santiago, Dominican Republic, which is where our factory is, where all our cigars are made. He flew from Santiago, Dominican Republic to Las Vegas to the PCA trade show in the US. And he shows up right off the plane, and he comes up to me and gravelly old voice, and he goes, "Coño, you have to try this, blah, blah, blah." And he reaches in his back pocket and he pulls out a sandwich bag with 3 cigars in it.
Right.
And he goes, "You have to try this." And so I take it. He's like, "The wrapper, I love the wrapper." And so I take one of the cigars and I start smoking it. And I'm like, man, I like this wrapper too. I'm like, "And why did you box press a Fuma for a tasting?" And he's like, "I didn't box press it." And I'm like, "Look at it. It's box press." And he's like, "Oh my God, I forgot it in my back pocket." So it was ass pressed. He sat on it for 8 hours flying from the Dominican Republic to Las Vegas. And so when I made the JT signature, I box pressed it.
Nice.
Because as an homage to Rolando accidentally ass pressing it on the flight. But I love the wrapper so much. And I was talking to Glenn about it. And I'm like, "Man, I really love this wrapper. I'm enamored with it. I think we should do something with it." And he goes, "Well, if you want to do something with it, you do it." And I'm like, "I just work here, dude. Like, I don't know." And he was like, "Well, figure it out, learn, take it as an opportunity to learn, and then you do your own thing with it." So back and forth to the Dominican Republic, working on it, learning about all these different stages of making a cigar from the production side, which you know about being in the business, right?
Yeah,
you know about kind of in an adjacent sort of way. You know, it's very product focused and all that stuff, but the actual like gubbins of it, you know
what happens, but you never really take that much.
I could describe how a cigar is made to people, but you don't actually get to do it or see it on a regular basis. But I had to in order to put something together myself. So I had to learn every kind of element of it over the course of it. It took 2 years to really felt comfortable around it and put the stuff together. And then originally we were going to release it. The idea was stores that I had a good personal relationship with would do an event to launch it. And then only those stores, as kind of like a thank you for their support over the years,
But
only those stores would be able to sell it. So it wouldn't be listed anywhere. It's not in any of our literature. It still isn't. And then that was in 2020. And then COVID happened. And I couldn't do events anywhere. And I had thousands of boxes of these things sitting around. And it's like, what do I do? How do I? And so I just emailed all the salespeople that work for us. And I'm like, who do I like in your territory? And they sent me back 8 or 10 people that they knew I liked. Like, who do I actually like? You know, like, They emailed me back, and those were the people that got the cigars. And that now it's proliferated a little bit more. Like now it's in a ton of stores and stuff like that. But that was the idea was that it was going to be an event only kind of cigar that they could carry on selling it after.
It's
That's cool.
I was going to say, it's cool to know that you actually had, again, a hand in creating it, understood, went and learned how to create the cigar from seed all the way through to boxing. Again, a lot of people will say, oh yeah, there's a cigar named after me, but then it'll be a case of, I don't know, it's a pre-existing cigar maybe that they have no hand in. They have no choice of what happened. And they go, okay, cool, we'll put a band on, we'll name it after you, and then that's that.
Yeah.
But to know that you've actually took time out of your every day for 2 years to go to the store, to the factories, understand the whole process, make the cigar yourself, and then kind of make it another success for Kristoff. It's an incredible journey once again. Yeah,
it's cool. And it was really cool and rewarding for me to like learn that side of the business more in depth. And you know what, like, it's funny, we talk about, and you said in the beginning, you know, like an expert in this stuff. And it's like, if I was talking about tobacco for 10 minutes at the factory, I would get corrected within those first 10 minutes. Like the people who really are in the trenches and living it, they have forgotten more than most of us know about tobacco. You know,
they've dedicated their entire life to it, haven't they?
Yeah. So it's really, it's always humbling. The product always humbles you,
for sure.
Yeah. In what you really don't know, even if you're an expert, you're not an expert.
This is the thing, isn't it? I mean, we had the wonderful opportunity of going to the Dominican Republic to the Davidoff factory, and when you see it, it's just like you said, it's so different. And it's not something you learn in 1 day or 2 days. You know, we were there for 3-4 days at the factory around that sort of time. And it's just so much to take in. So the fact that you spent 2 years there really shows how much you had to really invest in it.
Just to be sort of competent.
Yeah.
Not just even to be good at it.
To a base level of understanding the situation.
And it takes years for these people to even just roll the cigar as well.
To be able to do
learning about the whole blend and the whole process. It's just, it's absolutely mind blowing, isn't it? Really. And we always recommend to people, to customers and people watching, to look at documentaries and things like that, because it really gives you an appreciation of it a lot more. And I think a lot of people, they like to moan about a lot of prices, and I get with UK taxes and whatnot. It's not pleasant buying cigars for the price that they are, but I compare it to going out for a meal. If you buy a steak, you're eating it in 15 minutes, and then you're paying, what, 50, 60 pounds maybe?
Minimum,
$60,
for a good
$70, I don't know.
A lot of money.
But they'll eat it in 15 minutes ago, that was fantastic. And they won't bat an eyelid about the price. But with a cigar, you know, you've got one you'll sit there and enjoy for about 2 hours. And then they're thinking, God, it's expensive. Just sit there and appreciate it. You know, all of these years have gone into creating this. 300 hands have gone into creating this one cigar that you're sitting there and enjoying. Yeah. So take that in and really appreciate it.
Yeah. It's when you go down there and you hear people bitch about it being 18 pound or whatever. It's like, or 25 or whatever. It's like, how does it only cost that when you see it? Yeah. It's like, how is it only that price? You know? Sure.
I think the biggest takeaway that we both found, as I say, we went to when we come back from the factories, and it was like, okay, you have an appreciation for cigars. You understand there's a lot that goes into it. But once you actually hear it from the source, you see it at the source, how long that it takes, all the different little intricate steps and how many quality control stations and all of this stuff. You then understand, okay, cool, this is like hundreds of man hours into each one, years of creation, perfection into every single one. And as you say, then you have to spend sort of £18 and people are like, oh, it's the end of the world. And it's like, well, at the same time, people spend £20 on a packet of cigarettes.
That's right.
But they don't think twice about it.
Yeah.
But then it's like...
And that's made by machine.
Exactly. There's nothing that goes into that.
These are made by hand, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for us to even be right most of the time in a handmade product is crazy.
And to be able to, yeah, as you say, to be able to replicate that same thing for years to come, when, say, harvest may not be as good, you know, weather conditions are different, all of these things that go into it, and you still manage to bring out the same exact product year after year, time after time.
Yeah.
And as you say, it's not simple. It's not just chucking a couple of leaves together. You know what I mean? It's a blending process. It's tasting. It's a lot of intricate
Quality
details
control,
that go into it.
Everything.
But again, it's a difficult one to try and convey to people because the regular person or the person that normally enjoys a cigar doesn't necessarily get to see it from that side. 9 times out of 10, it's trade purposes only that people go to these things. But, you know, education, especially from retailers, suppliers, it's the number one.
And from guys like you. Like, it's very hard for us to get out there and tell the story. Like it's very hard for us to convey to people that exactly what you guys were just talking about. Like really how intricate the process is and how difficult it is. And it's, if we had to tell it to every single cigar smoking consumer in every lounge, we would never get that story across. So it's important, the function that you guys serve too, you know, in terms of getting that message out, because it's much easier for me to tell it once and have it heard than to have to fly out and meet, like I'm doing now, fly out and meet all these people in all these lounges across the UK to tell the story, you know, to tell why they should care about our product, why they should go into a humidor and see, you know, 300-400 different facings and pick mine over somebody else's. It's hard to get that message out, you know?
Yeah. Especially in today's age with the amount of new stuff coming out from everywhere. It just seems like there's new stock coming in all the time, doesn't it? So again, it just makes everything a little bit more difficult. But that's another thing. That's why we always promote events and go into things like that, because you get to hear it from, well, what's the saying, horse's mouth? You get to hear it from the horse's mouth.
That's right.
And you know, as I say, it gives you a much more or a larger appreciation for what it is that you're enjoying. But
talking of appreciation, though, is there anything about Kristoff that people outside the industry may not know that would be interesting for them to know?
Yeah, I think for us, and it kind of goes up against, you know, in a lot of European markets, and I know Britain's not Europe anymore, but in a lot of European markets, we find that since the Cuban presence has been so high for so many years, or almost exclusive for so many years, we find that New World Cigars, it's an effort for us to explain ourselves. It's we want to avoid that feeling. Number one, nobody wants to compete. I don't want to compete with them. I don't want to be a Cuban cigar. I don't want people to compare us to Cuban cigars, because we aren't. Saying that
very, very different.
That's right. Saying a Cuban cigar is better than a New World cigar, and New World cigar is better than a Cuban cigar is like saying tangerines are better than prime rib. You know, I mean, it's just, they're completely different things for different things, different profiles entirely. So making it so that people feel like buying a New World cigar is not sacrificing. You're not saying, oh, well, I'm a little light in the pocket this week, so I'm going to try some of that. You know what I mean? That kind of bucking that opinion is difficult without the right storytelling. So like something for us that's interesting with Kristoff is our quality control and our processing is different than a lot of other companies. So like, we'll double or triple ferment a lot of our tobaccos, so that other companies do it too. But for us, so just talking about us, and what that does is, you touched on it briefly, like the harvest could be different, the climate could be different, the humidity could be off slightly when it's in transit. There's like all these different factors, just like wine. Like there's tons of different things that affect the quality of the product at the point of sale. For us, when we double or triple ferment the wrappers, how do we make a cigar, the original Maduro that we made 19 years ago? How do we make that taste like the one that we still market today? And it's still is in our top 10 best-selling cigars, right? it's hard. You know, things have changed. The way that they farm changed. The fertilizer, all kinds of stuff changes. And luckily in the tobacco business, things don't change too quickly that we can't get our arms around it. But how do you do that? So you have kind of proprietary processing where there's ways that you handle the tobacco, there's ways that you ferment it, there's ways that you age the tobacco. That makes it so that even with agricultural inconsistencies, it tastes more like your process than it does what those inconsistencies could give to the blend. So I want my original Maduro to taste just like it did, the one that you first bought that made you fall in love with it in 2006. You know, that's what I want. So that double and triple fermentation, also the way that we bunch cigars, there's kind of two different ways to bunch. And ordinarily I would cut open the cigar and I could show you what I'm talking about, but I'm enjoying it. I don't have another one. So, and if you want me to do that, I can still do it, but just got to give me another Connecticut. But there's booking, which is one way of bunching, which is you take the filler components and kind of stack them together like the pages of a book, and then you put them in a mold, you apply the binder, and then apply the wrapper afterwards. The other method is called entubar. And entubar is rolling the filler components into kind of lazy tubes, all of the filler leaves into lazy tubes. So you can imagine as the difference between drawing air through compressed and then decompressed pages of a book, which would be difficult at times, versus drawing air through a bunch of tubes, straws, much easier. And if the air moves through the cigar, almost all of the physical weight of the cigar is aimed towards kind of combustion. How do we get the binder, the flavorful components of the cigar? How do we get them to burn at the right rate, you know, so that you get the flavors that you want, the experience that you want out of the cigar? It's kind of like, like a vanilla candle doesn't really smell like vanilla if the wick isn't lit. It doesn't make the room smell like vanilla if the wick isn't lit, right? So a lot of the filler components in the binder are for combustion. They do contribute flavor, absolutely. But we look at it, kind of as combustion tobaccos. So they're important. Don't get me wrong, for the flavor. But I think the wrapper is where, in a New World cigar, the majority of the flavor comes from. So how do we get all those things? So if we bunch entubar, if the air moves through the cigar correctly, then it's going to burn correctly. The combustion's going to be right, which means you're going to taste the flavors and the proportions that we want you to taste them. It's also going to, most importantly, if you spend £18 on a cigar, you don't want to get beat out of your money. You don't want to have something that's plugged. Even more so if you're spending 40, 50, and you don't want to feel like you got beat out of your money and then go back to the store and say, I can hardly smoke this. And they say, oh, well, send a letter to Cuba or send a letter, they don't have a lot of recourse because they paid that money for it too, So it's making sure that when you do make the purchase decision of buying a Kristoff cigar, it's not going to beat you out of your money. It's going to smoke right. It's going to taste the way that we want it to taste. And you're not beat out of your money, So if the draw is good, the burn's good, all those other things are equal. We've pretty much controlled for everything but your taste, your flavor profile. And that we can't control.
Of course.
So the other thing is because we do have the little pigtail thing at the end, that allows us to draw test with a wrapper on. Other companies draw test cigars with the wrapper on, but they do it based on, if you use a booking technique or you don't have a pigtail, you could, they have a wheel, which is like 50 cigars bound in cloth usually. We call it a wheel. They take one out, cut it, put it on a draw testing machine, which is just like the vacuum that measures PSI. And if it's between, let's say, 15 and 18 PSI, it passes. Well, that's one cigar out of 50. And because it was made by the same pair of buncher and roller, they assume the other 49 samples in that wheel are correct. Because if they cut and draw tested every single one, they would have nothing to sell, right? So because we have the pigtail, we can just kind of roll it back, draw test it, and then twist it up into a pigtail.
Oh, that's clever.
So every cigar that comes out of our factory is draw tested, every single one.
So that's just, it's added extras like that people wouldn't even...
You wouldn't know.
Even notice. No. And again, that's as I say, Lewis's reaction then is something that we didn't even know that people were doing. That's unbelievably smart. It's really
smart.
So it allows us to be sure that when we do something like this, like there's not going to be some guy in the corner of the room going, actually, mine is, doing this right, and there's stuff, and stuff can still go wrong. It's a handmade product, It could be cut insufficiently, and that'll still have it be a little bit plugged. But as long as you do everything right, it's going to be good, because I tested for it before it ever left the factory, and I can sit here and talk confidently about the product because I know that we've done everything we could up until this point to make it right for you.
I mean, I think it's a great time to actually check in on the cigars and how we're getting on. I mean, as I say, I said to you off camera, this is actually the first time I've managed to get my hands on a Kristoff cigar and enjoy one. It's safe to say I'll go back 100%. And as you just said, you know, everything that you can control, you've controlled. And I mean, you can see from the plumes of smoke, the output that you're getting off each individual cigar that we have today is plumes of smoke. You know, my draw is absolutely perfect. My burn hasn't been touched up at all, and it's nigh on perfect straight. So it's just, again, props to you, and everything you've just said is proofs in the pudding, right? I mean, all of us are sat here with good burns, good draws. You know, it's it's incredible.
What's it taste like?
I'm enjoying it. It's quite an earthy sort of background flavour. There is a little bit of the sweetness here and there. The rum is definitely bringing out more of the sweetness. And to be perfectly honest, great choice for using a rum with this, because...
Need a top up there.
Yeah, exactly. And the guys will know we always end up forgetting about it, but the two go hand in hand so well. The sweetness of the rum, the sweetness of the tobacco, everything together is just, phenomenal. I'm really, really enjoying it.
Good.
It's definitely a pairing that I would go back to, a pairing that I would recommend to people. And to be honest, I know we mentioned earlier with the Brazilian tobacco, the Indonesian and the Nicaraguan bold flavours, and we spoke about balance. That's exactly what this is. It's well balanced all the way through. Neither one of the tobaccos or none of the tobaccos are standing out too much, outblowing all the other ones. It's, perfect. Really thoroughly enjoying it.
I'm glad you're enjoying your first Kristoff.
Yeah. I mean, after you mentioned the first one when you had the Connecticut, and you were like, it was phenomenal. Since then, it was like, okay, I'll get round to one. But as we said earlier, there's so many things coming off the market. It's difficult to kind of grab one and go back to it. But for sure, I'm really enjoying it, and I take it you are as well.
100%. This it's quite sweet. It's a very sweet cigar.
That's San Andres,
a lot of like cedar notes with like a salty sweetness, like a sweet and salty popcorn almost.
Yeah.
Really beautiful blend, and I'd probably say like a medium to full, tinkering more so on the full side of things. Glad I ate before this. I'm really impressed. I really am. Definitely pick up more Kristoffs. And especially considering that I, as I said earlier, I go for the smaller format cigars. I'm really enjoying this.
And is the draw all right? Is the cap a little tight?
It's perfect to me.
Okay, good. Good.
Perfect. I like a little bit of resistance there.
Okay.
But not too much, and it's absolutely perfect.
Good.
It really is.
Yeah.
I always tend to get through cigars fairly quick. Through these, I'm actually slowing right down, to be fair.
That's because you got to...
I talk a lot.
Way up for me.
Yeah. But this thoroughly enjoyable.
Good,
really enjoyable.
Good.
But,
happy to hear it.
Yeah. I think it's a little bit of a mix-up, but we could ask the question. Obviously, we're talking about the pairing and the cigar. We can go on to a question that we kind of ask all of our guests, usually at the end of a podcast. A little bit more of a lighthearted, fun question. But if you was to sample a cigar, you don't have to be a specific cigar. Obviously, it'd be a Kristoff for yourself. But choose 3 people that you would like. They don't have to be alive still. I mean, they could be past, present, whatever. But 3 people that you'd love to sit down and kind of just sort of shoot the shit with, if that makes sense.
That's a good question. I think one, you know what, what was pretty cool, I did a tasting this week at a historic place, and I got to sit in Winston Churchill's seat when I was there.
Yeah.
And I thought that was quite cool. And I did, when I was in law school, I wrote my thesis on kind of matters pertaining to World War II.
Okay.
So I did quite a bit of research, and I've always been really fascinated with Churchill as a character, notwithstanding the fact that he was a prolific cigar smoker. So I think he would be a wonderful person to smoke a cigar with. And I think I've actually gotten this question before, and I think I said him on that too. So it's certainly not pandering to a British audience.
I was going to say, it's definitely nothing with the British influence.
No, it's not. The fact that I was walked past 11 Downing yesterday, but still, I think he would be quite an interesting one. Yeah. The next one, I probably would pick somebody utterly insane. You know, who would be interesting? Nero, the emperor, the Roman emperor, who named his horse to the Senate and was absolutely famously insane. Right. I think he'd be an interesting guy to sit down and talk to. I think that would.
I wouldn't trust him around my drinks or anything.
No. Neither would I.
Poison you, but.
And then the other one I think I would do would be the American president, Theodore Roosevelt. Okay. Theodore Rex. He rode in the Spanish-American War. He was a famous soldier and then became president, kind of restructured the United States and did a lot of really cool things. I'd love to sit and have a cigar with him too. But I think Nero would be an interesting one too. So
all historical
patriots, really, aren't they?
Yeah.
Which is quite cool.
That's probably what I would do. Yeah.
Nice. Some good choices. I mean, I always love asking that question because every person you ask, they always have such vast differences. Yeah. And it's like, okay. But you kind of understand a little bit about sort of their interests outside of cigars. Yeah. As I say, I can imagine you're now sort of big into historical figures and things that have happened that kind of lead the way for certain other things. So it's always quite an interesting question.
There are so many. There are so many like interesting people to do though. It'd be hard to pick. I'd have to think a lot more about it.
Yeah. No, but that's good questions.
Yeah.
Good answers. Sorry. Questions.
The cigar industry, are there any sort of trends within the industry that you like and any that sort of make you roll your eyes a little bit? Any that stand out?
Yeah, there's a lot of both, I think. One of the trends that I like San Andres wrapper, that's kind of been, I mean, it's been around for a long time, but it's kind of been on vogue and being done in a less consumable way. Like it used to be San Andres was like kind of a bundle cigar and inexpensive wrapper and stuff like that. But I've seen a lot of companies stepping up and doing some really nice San Andres products. So I think that's a cool trend. A trend that I kind of roll my eyes at a little bit, the larger format things. Right. Something that's kind of bothered me forever is when somebody has a sun-grown cigar. I mean, it's a plant. Of course, it's sun-grown. That's the stupidest thing you can print. It doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. I would buy a moon-grown cigar. That would be interesting. But a sun-grown it's a plant. Yeah. So fair. I think that's pretty dumb. I'm trying to think of what else. I like this, like kind of. Not even about cigars, but I do like how small the world is now, you know, around these things with social media, with blogs, with podcasts like yourself. I like how our access to talking directly to the consumer has been getting easier and easier over the years. I think historically it was very hard to get in front of consumers. We had to put people on the ground to hand out samples and rely on them to tell the stories that we want told. Now we have a way to talk to more people at once. The world's a lot smaller. I think social media has been bad for the world in a lot of ways. Yeah. But in our industry, I think it's been good to be able to tell that story. And
it gives you a platform, right? It gives you the opportunity, as you mentioned earlier, to speak to many people in one go. You don't have to then repeat yourself a million times when you go around the countries and you see this. I mean, especially with podcasts and like longer format, because it's just a normal conversation. It's quite easy to kind of go along with. You can kind of watch it on the go and things like that. But it's a way to get the educational side of things across at the same time. So I imagine I see what you mean with, as you mentioned, social media can be an absolute cesspit for a lot of things. But again, it has its pros. It gives us a lot of a platform, a voice, and things like that. So, it's as I say, it's a battle, pros and cons, but
yeah. And if you're interested in anything, it doesn't even have to be cigars. The world is so small now. Like you can find out about anything. You can watch somebody on YouTube fix a TV or do any number of things. You know, it's like it's just so easy to be interested in stuff now, which I think is a real win. People get smarter and
I think as well. As much as obviously COVID was a real horrific thing worldwide, every person, but it kind of brought a lot of communities and a lot of people together through the art of social media. And obviously we did in the UK virtual hearths. I mean, we did it across the world, like people from America and wherever were tuning in to kind of listen to the same thing. And it kind of brought everyone together. It gave you the platform to be able to understand where to go to get the relevant information, things like that. So I think in terms of how bad it was, it kind of brought everything a little bit closer together because everyone experienced that at the same time. And I remember sitting here with you at a virtual hearth and it was sitting there and it was like, it's crazy to think that it's affecting us here, but the people that we'll never ever meet on different time zones across the entire planet are all being affected by the exact same thing. So it never felt so communitized as a planet, if that makes sense.
No, you're right. Yeah.
It was a strange feeling.
It was, yeah. And it was a weird time to be in the business too, because it was strangely lucrative in the cigar business, because all of people's disposable income that would ordinarily go to going on vacation or going to dinner or going out to the movies or doing any number, you couldn't do any of that. No. So what did we all do? We got drunk and smoked at home.
Yeah.
And that's what everybody did.
It worked a treat for us. Yeah.
It was a wild time in the cigar business, because me with our sales infrastructure, everybody was at home. I didn't have to pay for hotels or gas or cars or food or any of that stuff. Everyone was at home, and we were still selling more cigars than we probably ever sold. You know, it was nuts. It was nuts.
Because I think I heard you mention it on the way up. We had that same thing. And it was like, now the online side of the business never slowed down. Whereas before, a lot of people were coming in and they were going to their relevant places. Everyone now shops online for everything. Right. I mean, obviously with us, we had a small packing room at the top on the middle floor. And now our whole lounge got closed down, and that became a bigger. The operations side of things blew up. And it was a case of, okay, cool, now we need to prioritize the online side of things. We got rid of our lounge, which is an unfortunate thing, but obviously we get to use this room now. But yeah, it was a strange time.
Yeah.
Weird time, but it was, I suppose it brought some positives at the same time.
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
It was a big challenge, but I think it helped us overcome a lot, and it made us think about the future issues that may arise. And talking about that as well, did you guys put any sort of future... can't think of the word, like
contingencies.
Yeah, contingencies forward if anything like COVID happened again for production.
It's really our biggest problem during COVID was production. The factories in Central America, at least in the Dominican Republic, they went to a curfew. So it wasn't like we could go to shift work.
Right.
So they had a capacity for the amount of people that could be in a factory at any given time. And then they also had a curfew. So not only could you not go to first, second, third shift to maintain production levels with a limited staff, they had to be at home, out of public by, let's say, 6 p.m.
Right.
So we found it very difficult to maintain manufacturing production levels, because everybody in the factory isn't a roller. You know, you have logistics people, export people, packaging people, quality control people. So if we had a capacity restriction on the factory, now our production levels go down. Plus, we have to take away from those production units to have other export, QC, now health and stuff like that units. And we couldn't go to shift work. So we were just unable to make the amount of cigars. And our sales are way up.
Yeah.
So how do you keep up? I mean, there's just no way. That I truly hope is a once in a lifetime type of thing, because I don't think we can. At the very beginning, one of the first conversations we had was, how do you business plan for something that's never had to be planned for before? Yeah. You know, I mean, it's just really hard. Yeah. I suppose now if we got the whiff of something like that happening again, before curfews and restrictions were put into place, we would dramatically overstaff, build as much inventory as we possibly could so that we could have at least a little bit of a cushion for the hard landing when those regulations went into place. But I really don't think it's something you can plan effectively for. I don't.
It's so difficult as well, because it's so out of the ordinary, right? And you never know how dramatic the effects are going to be, do you? So I suppose, it must be difficult to kind of foresee that and try and foreplan it, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was something that we asked a few people. We did, as I say, a virtual hearth with Juan Martinez from Hoy de Nicaragua.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we did one with him.
No. He's the brand ambassador or something for them, or
the vice president.
One of the guy that I met. It's funny. My wife was sitting on the terrace out there. We were in the Dominican Republic, and she had won a raffle to make a cigar with Hoy de Nicaragua.
Okay.
And I told her, I'm like, babe, you can't win. And she's like, but I won. And I'm like, no, give it to somebody else. You have a whole cigar factory. I'm like, you don't need to do it. She's like, I don't have the oldest cigar factory, and Nicaragua, do I? And I'm like, oh, all right. So we have somewhere kicking around in one of our humidors at home, we have a Marissa blend with the Hoya de Nicaragua label, and she actually used San Andres too. She likes San Andres.
That's cool.
That's pretty cool.
That's really cool. Is she just going to keep that for as long as possible? Or?
I think she just uses it to flex on me. I think she just uses it. I think she just run it in your face all the time. Yeah. I think that's her plan.
Yeah. Talking of challenges, though, you are on the PCA board.
Yeah, I was elected 3 years ago to the PCA.
How was that? It
was a lot of work, man. It's a difficult. It's one of those like thankless, difficult jobs that you do for the industry. Not saying that I found it to be thankless or difficult, but it is. The permanent board members and stuff like that, the executive committee, they are working really, really long hours, and the industry is constantly under attack, not just in the U.S. but around the world. And it is a global organization now, the PCA. Yeah. So legislative problems. We were embroiled in a 6 or 7 year lawsuit with the Food and Drug Administration of the United States, which cost millions and millions of dollars we ultimately won, but they're staffed by, 1,000 lawyers paid for by the taxpayers, know? So, and we're well aware that legislatively what happens in the U.S. tends to make its way into the rest of the world, right or wrong, it does.
Right.
So we're kind of trying as an organization, PCA's core function is supporting, specialty tobacco retail in the United States and defending them against whatever kind of threats exist legislatively or otherwise. So, fighting these large federal lawsuits, but also, this county in this state is trying to pass an indoor smoking ban. Well, we have to be involved in that too, because who else are those retailers going to come to? We are supposed to be their support. So it's a lot of work, plus organizing a large trade show at the scale that we do and things like that. It's just a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
I imagine it's another thing that's kind of, it's cool to be involved in though.
It's giving back a little bit, right?
Yeah. Obviously, you just mentioned the sort of the challenges that you face with it. Do you see much opportunity coming through the PCA, and what does that like? Do you get to see like inside scoop on things and things that might be coming in the future?
In terms of regulation and stuff like that, or in terms of
just like anything that's kind of going to drive the cigar industry forward, any opportunities that might come.
You know what? It's kind of doom and gloom, but there's never going to be a president that gets elected in the United States or a prime minister here that says, I love tobacco and I can't wait to make it easier to buy.
Yeah.
That will never happen.
Yeah. No, and it seems to be getting more of a struggle.
So it will always be, the best we can hope for is that it remains the same. And the worst would be, and the more likely outcome is that it gets progressively worse. So I don't think that it will ever stop being difficult to buy or sell tobacco in any country, because it's very not popular with politicians. But it is, though, popular with them personally.
It is.
Yeah. We've got a townhouse in Washington, D.C. We host embassies. We'll do their staff parties there and smoke cigars. We have cigar caucuses internationally and domestic. We have they all love coming to the townhouse and smoking inside. But when it comes to voting, it's really hard for them.
No, at all, will they?
Yeah.
But that's where the difficulty comes, because I think, especially with, the things that we're facing currently, especially sort of in the UK with the legislations and banning things and the population, the age ban and things like that. It seems backwards that the people that are in the power seem to enjoy these things alongside us, but they have to go the other way around it. It always seems a shame, and that's one thing that I think is difficult to get your head around. But again, I suppose politics and things like that, that's a whole other beast that we won't sort of get involved in too much. But it's a strange one.
It is, yeah. And the best we can hope for is that they abstain.
Yeah.
And don't come out in favor of additional regulation. But the more likely thing is that they would be, kind of whipped into the same fervor of whatever their party line is. And if it happens to be anti-tobacco, that's it. That's my politics. My politics are tobacco. I want my business to continue. We have, hundreds of people in the Dominican Republic and abroad that depend on our ability to produce and sell cigars. So, all I really am caring about nowadays
is making sure it doesn't get
is making sure we have anti-regulation candidates that keep the business solvent for us.
For sure.
That's fair.
Yeah.
But moving on to more positive notes.
Yeah.
I wish I had better news. I really do. Nobody wishes that I had a positive message more than me.
But is there anything exciting coming up for Kristoff that people should know about?
Yeah, so I don't know if we talked about it on the show or beforehand when we were chatting, but we did rebrand the entire line at this year's PCA trade show in March and April. So that's been a big thing for us. After 20 years, we're going to have a new look. It's refreshed, it's clean, it's modern, it's elegant, it's nice, but it still has that kind of nod to the branding and packaging that you've seen. So you'll see over the next, call it 6 months, those rebranded lines matriculating and making their way over to the UK. So that's something to keep an eye out for. Otherwise, now that this was a real bear tackling this rebranding package for hundreds of SKUs that are marketed across the country, because every country has its own regulations, labeling requirements, things like that. So that was a real bear. Now we can focus on the fun stuff. Now we can focus on, we didn't release any new core lines this year. We did an exclusive for the PCA trade show, and we've released some small projects that are like either shop exclusive or region exclusive. But now we can start getting back into, okay, now what can we sink our teeth into next? So next year, I would imagine you'll see some interesting new projects from us that'll be a little bit different.
That's exciting. I mean, I think it's safe to say that you guys have hit height after height, and you guys are doing a fantastic job. You're doing a wonderful job.
And for sure, you've found another Kristoff cigar lover in myself. It's a phenomenal cigar to start with. But yeah, I mean, it kind of wraps everything up. I think we've touched on pretty much everything. As I say, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you. Thank you very much for making the journey. Obviously, I know you didn't come all the way from America just for us, as much as we'd like to say so. But yeah, no, we really appreciate you making the journey down here and taking some time out of your busy schedule to put up with us for a couple of hours.
No, it's been great. And I appreciate the service you guys are doing. We did chat a little bit about it before the show, in that it's an enormous cost of acquiring a customer, right? To fly over here and do 10 different events and try to introduce the cigars one by one to all the people that we meet at these events. And I'm happy to see that somebody like yourselves are providing this service here. And I hope to see you guys continue to grow and do better with it, because every new viewer, every new listener, every new person that you guys get to talk to is another person that someday we'll get to talk to. So I appreciate you having me very much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks so much. Well, there's one question left to ask. I think we both know the answer to this.
Yeah.
But are these cigars for me or not for me?
Yeah, I'll go straight out there and say this one is definitely for me. It's definitely a cigar that I would pick up again. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Really, really good. And as I say, the backstory of how this creation came to be just makes it a little bit more special. So thank you very much for sharing that as well. So yeah, very good.
I would agree. Definitely for me. It's a really nice, complex blend. Not overly complex, but that sweetness along with that sort of earthy undertone. It's just beautiful. But yeah, for me, I'm going to enjoy the rest of this. But yeah, let us know what you guys think of the subscription this month. Let us know what you were smoking alongside myself and Billy, and of course Jarrid too. And subscribe, follow us on Instagram and Spotify if you haven't already. Subscribe. I said subscribe already. I don't know why I said that again. Must be.
You really should subscribe.
Yeah, you really should subscribe.
But yeah.
Follow Kristoff Cigars on Instagram as well. And until next time, stay safe and happy. Peace.